Hello and welcome to the Sun Racing preview of day one of the Cheltenham Festival in association with Betway. The excitement has built and built, and we are oh so close to the roar that precedes the Supreme Novices Hurdle on the opening day. I'm Tom Bull and I'm delighted to be joined by Steve Mullin, aka Templegate, and Chad Yeomans of Betway to discuss all 4 days of the Cheltenham Festival. First up, we're going to go with the opening day and the contest that kicks things off, the Supreme Novices Hurdle. A cracking race in prospect this year. Looks very competitive, with Shiskin heading the market for Nicky Henderson after an oh-so-impressive Huntingdon win last time out in the Sydney Banks. Asterion Phalange, the Irish raider for Willie Mullins, in the same colours as Shishkin, 4 out of 4, and looks a very exciting prospect. Abracadabras, another Irish horse, another Irish raider who looks extremely exciting. Fiddler on the Roof, obviously a brilliant winner of the Tolworth Hurdle, Chantry House, and a few others. Now, Templegate, come to you first. I believe you've got a pretty interesting stat for us.
Yeah, well, there's some key stats for this race. It's the race everyone wants to win, the first race of the meeting, both punters and trainers. The key things to do is to look through last year's champion bumper, because horses that ran okay in that race usually come back and run well in this. A graded race win is important, and winning last time out doesn't hurt either. With that in mind, you've also got the Willie Mullins stat. He's won this so many times, they'll be naming it after him when he's retired.
They will.
He's got Asterion Phalange this season, who's obviously going to be his main contender. Seem to like soft ground, which will be important.
Absolutely.
On day one. Give him a good chance. Won the same race as Classical Dream did en route to this last year. But I'm just tipped towards Abracadabras.
Abracadabras, fantastic.
Yeah, I think he can conjure up.
Very nice. Pull a rabbit out of the hat.
Win. Fourth in the champion bumper, so ticks that box. Grade 1 winner, ticks that box.
Tremendous.
Maybe needs to jump slightly better, which you probably don't want to be saying at this stage, but I give him every chance of running very well.
A very exciting prospect indeed,
Absolutely.
Isn't it? Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Chad, would you agree, or would you like something else in the race?
I disagree. I think Abracadabra's very good, and I actually backed him for the bumper last year, and he finished 4th. But he bunny hops at his hurdles, and I think you do that at Supreme at that pace, you'll end up coming a crop and you'll lose a length at each hurdle. Whereas the horse I fancy, Asterion Phalange, will gain a length at each hurdle.
Okay.
He's a big horse, and Willie Mullins thought he was a 3-miler at the start of the season.
I remember he said
Turns
that.
out he's a 2-miler, and you actually need to stay 2.5 miles to win a Supreme because of how quick they go. I think he'll be ridden handy. He won last time. He's a graded winner as well. He ticks all the boxes for me, and the Willie Mullins stat. Horses coming into this race unbeaten. You know, you can't grab any form they've got.
Absolutely.
And I just think he's pretty smart.
Excellent. Tremendous. I mean, it's a very, very hot race, isn't it? I tend to agree with you, Templegate, in the fact that I do think Abracadabras is the one to beat, just because the only time he has been beaten over hurdles is by Envoy Allen, and he's a very strong traveller. I know he's got to improve his jumping a tiny bit, but, you know, there's definitely time to do that. And he previously thrashed subsequent Grade 1 winner latest exhibition, which is very strong form. His hurdling form does look extremely good indeed. So he'd be my selection as well. Now we do have to touch on a couple of others, including Fiddler on the Roof, who did pulverise his rivals in the Tolworth Hurdle. Now the form hasn't really worked out that well, but you couldn't really have asked him to do more, and soft ground is definitely going to suit him, isn't it, Chad?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he got beat at Chepstow first time out, but he got beat by Time Hill. So that form could look okay. He got beat by Edward Stone at Wincanton, which the Tizzards have been quite vocal in saying that's not his track. And then he came and bolted up at Sandown twice, including in the Tolworth. And he skipped a lot of the bad weather and a lot of the other prep races just to go there fresh. I was at the Tizzards last week, and they like him.
Yeah, they do,
very
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
He's very good.
Excellent. What about you, Templegate?
Shishkin was one that we think we should mention
Absolutely,
as well, obviously because he could well end up a favourite. I've been told the stat about Huntingdon.
Yeah, I can't wait for this one.
Going so well
really
at
excited
Cheltenham.
this one.
I'm told that no horse has ever had the prep run at Huntingdon and won at Cheltenham.
Which is mental.
Which is, I don't know how big the sample size is, but I would say more the fact that Huntingdon is probably the least taxing jumps track in the country.
Yes,
may have more to do with it.
Yeah, I'm more sure it does, yeah.
Yeah, but again, the form from Newbury as well, you know, it's done not a lot wrong. I just think these Irish horses look stronger. Yeah,
I mean, I saw Nicky Henderson earlier in the week, and he did say to me that he thinks Shiskin is as good as Altior was at this stage, and expects him to be as good, if not better, later in his career, which I have to say is some statement, because obviously Altior was taken all before him, and Shishkin definitely needs respect. I mean, he has looked a bit raw in his races, he's shown a lot of ability, but whether or not this might come a tiny bit soon in his career, for me, is something you've got to think about. Do you agree?
I agree. I totally agree. I saw him when he won the Betway Sydney Banks at Huntingdon, and he's so tall. He is so tall. And I mean, I might be completely wrong, but it just strikes me as he's going to be a bit like Bambi on ice at Cheltenham. Maybe I'm completely wrong about it. He bolt up. And I do think I'd rather back him for next year's Arkell than I would at this year's Supreme.
No, I rather agree.
I think he'll go straight over fences. I think he's going to be a smashing chase, and I do think he's got plenty of talent. The horse he beat in second, Shake 'em Up Harry, useful horse of Ben Pauling's. After that, though, the form wasn't overly great of that Newbury run, but you can only beat what you're up against. So we'll see.
Indeed. Nicky Henderson, obviously, of course, has got Chantry House as well in the race. A very exciting prospect in his own right. A horse who has beaten Stolen Silver and beaten Eberstone. Very strong novice form. Nicky Henderson does think a lot of him as well, so he could have a very strong hand in this, couldn't he, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it just keeps occurring to me. You're talking about horses that have done really well on this side of the Irish Sea. I just think when they come up against the Irish horses, I just think they're on another level at the moment in the novice hurdle ranks at this age.
Well, actually, to be fair, in the Supreme, then that just leaves you with Abracadabras and Asteria Forlorn, doesn't it?
It does feel a bit like that might be what happens.
No, there you go. Indeed. And Captain Guinness potentially at a bigger price, having been finished behind Andy Dufresne, which doesn't look so good now, but it was still a decent.
Even still, it was a great performance.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the one concern would be the lack of experience going to Cheltenham on just his third run. But you've seen horses win with having minimal experience at Cheltenham before, so it's not impossible. But there's others that I just think could be a bit more battle hardened. If he comes up against the hill,
it's against the trends as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
3 runs.
So. But Henry de Bromhead and that woman Rachel Blackmore,
phenomenal.
Exactly.
Yeah,
indeed. So selection time. I'm going to go with Abracadabras.
Asterion Forlonge.
Excellent stuff. Moving swiftly on to the Arkell, which is what they'll be doing during the race itself, I imagine. Notebook heading the market here for Henry de Bromhead. After taking all before him in Ireland this season so far, it's sure to be a fast and furious, a big old speed test for these novice chasers. Fakir Dudery, Cashback, Brewing Up a Storm, Rouge Vif, Global Citizen, Esprit de Large. It really is a who's who of 2-mile novice chasers. Exciting 2-mile novice chasers. Chad, I'll come to you first this time. Yeah. Who takes your eye most in this race?
It's actually a race. I think it's the worst Arkell I've seen in quality-wise for a long time. Yeah, there's not a standout performer for me, and maybe it's because of recent years we've been sport having a Footpad and Duvan and Altior, and we have been very lucky to see some good horses in this. I think Notepad's probably 2 stone better than he is over fences than he is over hurdles. I agree with that. But I still can't come away from the fact that I think he was a bang average hurdler.
I know, it just stays with you, doesn't it?
There's just something there, and he was beaten out of sight at Cheltenham last year. The stat that really kind of gets me is 10 out of the last 12 winners ran in the last 50 days, and that's because they go so frantically quick and they jump at such a pace that you need that race fitness to be on edge slightly and to go with them. And the 2 I like are outside of that bracket: the Esprit de Large, who won the Grade 1, the Henry VIII at Sandown, and Brewing Up a Storm. I think Brewing Up a Storm last ran 79 days ago, and Esprit de Large was 84. So whilst I've given a stat, I've kind of gone against it in ones that I fancy. I just think Brewing Up a Storm probably wants a fast run 2 miles, and I think got outstayed in the Ballymore last year behind City Island, Bright Forecast, and Champ. But he's smart.
Does the fact he's only had 2 runs in small field novice chases make you scared, or you?
No, not at all.
No, you think he'd be all right with that?
I think he'll be fine with that. I think he'll have had plenty of schooling.
Okay.
And when they're not out of the races, they're going to schooling races at home, and they're schooling, and it's more the fact that he might just lack that critical race fitness that the others have got from running over the last 6 weeks.
Interesting that. And Esprit de Large, as you say, is pretty unexposed.
Yeah, massively. I mean, how many Grade 1 winners will have been? He's been 25 to 1 for the majority.
Because he's trainer, isn't
he's been backed of late. Yeah, of course. Yeah. How many Grade 1 winners do you get?
Going off double figure prices.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So,
what about you, Templegate? What's your thoughts?
Well, I agree about Esprit de Large. I was very taken by that Sandown run. Maybe just not quite good enough to win. I don't know. That Irish Arkell, it's such a good trial for this race. I mean, Willie Mullen's record, winning 4 of the past 5 Arkells, that's, kind of speaks for itself, and he uses that race as a prep. I think Cashback, I prefer certainly at the prices, just because I thought there wasn't an awful lot between them. Notebook was apparently a bit crazy before the race. I didn't see it myself, but it's been reported afterwards. And I think the way Cashback finished the race got stronger as he went on. I do think up the hill maybe. Yeah. And of course, coming from Willie Mullen speaks for itself. So I'm happy with that one.
Well, it's interesting that race you just mentioned as well, because Cashback looked to have Notebook's measure before about, I think it was 3 outs, when Notebook jumped put in a fantastic leap, took him to the front. Cashback fought back, was always slightly on the back foot after that. But I think they are very evenly matched, and at the prices, I agree with you. I think Cashback is definitely the one to beat. Exciting front runner. If he gets an easy lead, which probably isn't likely, or at least gets a prominent position, he will be very difficult to catch.
Yeah, the price is just a bit too much for me, and you do have to take that into account. I mean, nobody would be surprised if Notebook, won again. But I think just at the odds, it just seems a decent bet to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. Anything else that takes your eye particularly?
Well, only you've got to mention Fakadoodery, haven't you? But I mean, it's been beaten already on St Stephen's Day, Boxing Day.
Well, it got beaten by Notebook and was in receipt of £7.
Yeah. I think there were a few excuses in that race. I think there was a bit of bumping and barging
and
all the rest. But again, it's probably asking too much to turn that around. But probably still run well. Might want 2.5 in time. Well, will want 2.5 in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Esprit de Large is the pick of the home team. Cashback for the Irish.
Great. There's a couple more to mention from the English team. Rouge Vif, who won at Warwick last time, beating Nube Negra, who's a very smart chase in his own right, and Global Citizen, who comes here on the back of a much improved performance at Kempton.
Probably prefer a flat track.
He would probably prefer a flat track, but Ben Pauling does seem to think he's tailor-made for this race. So we'll soon see. But I agree with Templegate. I'm going to go with Cashback. I don't think he needs to find much at all. I think he's got the best form along with Notebook in this race, and I think it probably will be between the two of them, provided there's no English fly in the ointment. So I can see Cashback proving very hard to catch up that hill. And Templegate, I think you agree.
Yep.
And Chad?
I'll go with Brewing Up a Storm.
Excellent. Now on to the main event of the opening day, the Champion Hurdle. Not the most strong of races this year, unfortunately, but it's still competitive enough. Epatante leads the betting for Nikki Henderson after winning the Christmas Hurdle in absolutely fantastic style. She's unfortunately had some breathing problems leading up to the Cheltenham Festival itself, but hopefully that won't cause her to run a poor race, and she should be a very tough nut to crack. Nikki Henderson has also got Pentland Hills in the race, last year's Triumph Hurdle winner, who goes there with an outstanding chance as well. Honeysuckle could be declared for this. We don't know quite yet, but if she is, then she is going to have a serious chance in receipt of weight against the boys. Benny de Dieu, unlikely to come here, but it is still a possibility, whereas Chillis Emery is more than likely to come here, although he does need to be supplemented for Willie Mullins after a nice win last time out in the Red Mills Trial Hurdle. Others to mention are Super Sunday, Sharjah, Dava Star, Fusel Raffles, and a smattering of others. Templegate, I'm going to come to you for the big one. Who takes your eye the most?
Dava Star at the prices.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good run behind Honeysuckle, Irish Champion Hurdle. Already run well once before then. Came home, rattled home, which is a good sign for Cheltenham up the hill. The ground won't be an issue. If it's soft, if it's a little bit quicker, it'll be fine.
Yep.
And at the prices, I think each way, given that you can pick holes in so many of the others, Epatante, fair enough, is probably going to be favourite. Jumps fast and low, which you'd love to see. Sure. But the flop in the Dawn Run last season was a bit of a worry. Well, we're very well backed.
It is a worry.
And you've got Pentland Hills, which is a horse I really like, and I was hoping would come on and be a champion hurdler. The last two runs are just a bit worried. The first time at Cheltenham, you could say, well, he just needed that. But then to do it again at Haydock and be beaten by Ballyandy, good honest horse, but you wouldn't have him winning a champion hurdle.
No, not at all.
That puts me off. So I just think it's wide open, and Dava Star at double figures. Super Sunday, the price is gone now. I could see him running a good race as well, but I'm happy with Dava Star each way.
Interesting that you say the price has gone on Super Sunday, because I actually still think he's a decent price. Yeah. I think he's going to win. He won last year's Aintree Hurdle. I mean, I know he's probably slightly better over further, but this is going to be a bit of a slog in the ground if it does stay on the soft side. I just can see him stripping a lot fitter for that first run out in the season. And I think if he's going to win a big one, it's going to be this year, because it is a poor race. And he was very close to Bouvetard on quite a few occasions last season, the season before. And there's nothing of that calibre in this race, apart from Honeysuckle if she does go. So for me, he's the pick. Now, Chad, what about you?
I've got a big fancy in this. Curse Sublime.
Tremendous. Haven't even mentioned him at all, have we?
No, I think he's gone massively under the radar. If you watch the Triumph last year, he looked the winner up until 100 yards out. And I think he was just a big frame of a horse who just managed to get swept by and probably just didn't have enough strength to carry on up the hill at the pace he was going. He led them all as well, and 4-year-olds leading is a big task at Cheltenham. Pentland Hills came with a wet sail, but Pentland Hills hasn't gone on to do much after that. He then came out at, I think it was down roll at the start of the season and won a hurdle just as he wanted.
Oh, it's very easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Then he went to the Grade 1 and that Sharjah one, is it Matheson hurdle?
Yes, the one, yeah.
Had a few breathing problems, but still travelled and still looked like a decent animal. And I think whilst all the others have battled and they've all got excuses, Epatant's been coughing, the mares might go to the mares, Silo Emery needs to be supplemented, Pentland Hills hasn't won. You can kind of knock them off
You can,
as you go
absolutely.
down.
Yeah, you can.
I think this one's been massively overlooked, and I think he's a cracking bet.
Tremendous. Well, I'm going to go with Super Sunday. Steve?
Yeah, Darver Star.
Darver Star for you and Chad.
Curse Sublime.
Great. There are a few sights more exciting than seeing a mare flying down to the last in splendid isolation. I'm sure that's what many will be hoping Benny de Dieu does in this year's Close Brothers Hurdle, also known, of course, as the Mares Hurdle, the Grade 1 for the mares. She's going to take on Honeysuckle if all goes to plan, and it promises to be an absolutely cracking duel between the two. Obviously, you can't discount the likes of Roxanne, who won the race last year, and Stormy Island, who has looked an improved performer this season. Chad, between the two, which it probably is, if we're being completely honest, who is the one to beat?
It's a no contest. Benny de Dieu.
Even between the two?
Oh, even between the two.
I love that.
I think Honeysuckle's overrated. I really do. I might get crabbed for that online, but I think Honeysuckle's overrated. She doesn't jump well enough. She beat Petit Mouchoir by half a length, and
Just your mouth. Not to grab.
No, to me, it's just one horse has been different class to the other. That's as simple as that.
Do you agree with that, Steve?
Yes and no. I don't think Honeysuckle's overrated particularly, but I do think Benny de Dieu is far too good.
Yeah.
I have to say Honeysuckle because I quite fancy the horses in with it for the championship, but I just can't see Benny de Dieu not winning this. Maybe Stormy Island for a place.
Yeah,
if you're looking for a bit something at a bigger price.
3 for Benny. I mean, I completely agree. Yeah. The only time she's been beaten was when she fell last year in the race. Yeah. She's absolute class act. Willie Mullins says she's might well be better than Annie Power. Obviously, won a champion hurdle, which is seriously, you wouldn't just come out and say that. She's obviously got heaps and heaps of ability. She was so impressive last time, wasn't she? I mean, it was unbelievable performance. She's so good. Yeah. And I'd be astonished if she got beaten. I think the only way she does get beaten is if, like last year, she tips up at the last or tips up somewhere through the race. But I think she is the one to be absolutely, like you say, Stormy Island each way as well. She has looked very, very good in the runs this season. And actually, to be fair, the form looks pretty strong. So you can't really discount her each way. But yeah, all 3 of us for Benny de Dieu. Now on to the stamina test that is the National Hunt Chase. Carefully selected heads the market here at a pretty short price after looking very exciting over slightly shorter distances this season. Chad, I know you're massively keen on this horse. Yeah,
I can't see him getting beat. I think he's one of the good things of the week.
Do you?
Yeah, I really
Another
do.
Willie Mullins good thing?
Yeah. I think Willie Mullins being top trained is probably the best bet of the week. But carefully selected, won all 3 starts this year. He ran over 2.5 miles because he needed to get qualified. He won easy as he liked. He'll have Patrick Mullins on him. He's a class apart. He was second in the bumper in 2018 behind Relegate.
Yeah.
Bumper form tends to be won by horses who can stay 3 miles, and those place get, as you mentioned earlier in the Supreme, it's a good enough stat for going forward. I just think he's different class, and there's no brainer. That's it.
Agree with that, Steve?
Yeah, what he said, basically.
Nothing to add.
Yeah, all I can say is the bumper form. He'll have a top jockey. You've got to stick with the top jockeys, and it's just once Copperhead went for the other race, the RSA instead, and that was my main danger crossed out.
There you go. Everything's slotting into place. Yeah. One that I quite like, actually, I have to say, I do agree with you in the fact that KFC Selected has got a massive chance. But I will just quickly mention Battle Over Doyen, who wasn't good enough in the flow gas behind Faheen, but this longer trip will suit him a lot better. He beat Champagne Classic earlier in the season, which is strong form. He looks a very strong stayer. And I just think at the prices, he might be the one to be on. He's going to have a very good jockey on as well, we all know that. Yeah. Definitely. And he's got a good chance. And also, at an even bigger price, I would just like to put in a mention for Lisnega Oscar. I know he might go to the Stayers Hurdle, but he's very, very well handicapped if going for the National Hunt Chase. And he is a strong stayer, and I just think he's got a chance if he does go that way. But yeah, I think you want to go with carefully selected from the sounds of it. Indeed. And I will stick my neck out and go with Battle Over Doyen. Finally, it being the Cheltenham Festival, of course, there are some cracking handicaps to get your teeth stuck into on the opening day, headed by the Ultima Handicap Chase and headed in that race by Vindication, top weight, but must have a brilliant chance, Chad, do you think?
Indeed, he's been one of the best backed horses in the handicaps with us. He's only been beaten twice in 9 starts, which is pretty impressive.
Amazing.
Kim Bailey said he was absolutely distraught when he got beat in the Scilly Isles at Sandown last February. But Defi de Soy won the race and Lost in Translation was second. So by the end of the week, we could be saying he was beaten by the new Betway Champion Chaser and the new Gold Cup hero. So that form could really work out. We've seen him once this year, ran off 151 at Ascot, absolutely sluiced up, been kept for this. He's got top weight. Untomp Poor 2 won this race in 2017. I think it was 2016 off top weight, so that's not going to be a major issue. I think he's just very good. Another couple to mention, I think Discorama, second in the 4 miler last year, or National Hunt Chase. Death Duty.
Interesting.
He was very useful as a novice.
He was.
As a novice hurdler. He's been 4th this time, was 4th behind Chris's Dream last time out. He gets in off quite a nice weight. And Burbank for Nicky Henderson, who just stays all day long.
Excellent stuff. What about you, Steve? What do you like?
Well, if the conditional got in, I'd give him a chance, but I think it's quite a long way down the list. Kildesart was one that I just thought had a bit of a squeak after 4th in the JLT last year, getting a bit of help off the handicapper, and I thought that was a decent run at Kempton last time when it looked like this, again, Cheltenham suits better. Give it a squeak, but I mean, there's very little to put you off indication, and especially the trainer's having his best season for a while as well. It'd be good to see him do well, because he's a proper, national hunt trainer. The type that we'd like to see have a few winners at the festival.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I'm going to stick my neck out and go with Discorama just because he was, as you say, second in the National Hunt Chase last season. I thought he was going to win that day. I backed him that day. Barry O'Neill was on board, and I was absolutely gutted when he got roasted in the final furlong by Le Breuil. But hopefully he'll get his head in front now. Slightly less of a trip, so that should be a nice bit of easy going for him. He looks on a good mark here. He's had a wind up and a run over hurdles in prep for this, so I can see that making a difference to him. So hopefully Discorama will win that. Now, last but not least, we will go on to the Northern Trust Company Novices Handicap Chase, formerly the Close Brothers Novice Handicap Chase, the final race on day 1. Actually, it's the second last race now, isn't it? Yeah, the penultimate race on day 1. Imperial Aura, I know, is a massive appeal to both of you. Steve, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I think just been brought along beautifully this season. Had a really nice prep race last time and second. I think there's a lot more to come from him. I just think this will really suit him, this test. And, it's a wide open race. I think he's very solid solid indeed.
Do you agree with that, Chad?
I do. He ran on his first start of the season in the Silver Trophy at Chepstow. I don't know if you've gone back to that form, but the second Champagne Chase has been out and won. The 4th's been out and won. Bold Plan was in that race, he's been out and won. Grenadine's been out and won. Remastered was placed. I think there's been 7 of the 12 have been out and won. Even the horse that's pulled up, Zanza, went out and won next time out. It was a race that's just completely worked out. Indefatigable was 5th, Ballyandy was 6th. So that race has just worked out so well. Then he won a 3-horse race where he was the only horse to complete at Fakenham at 25-1 on. He won that. He finished second behind Pim over 3 miles at Cheltenham, didn't quite stay, and then ran at Cheltenham in a handicap on trials day where they said it was soft, but it was a lot softer. And he'd have learnt a lot running in amongst horses and learning how to actually race against horses. I think he's been campaigned for this. Another 2 to mention, Beakstown. Ran behind Sam Spinner, Champ and Mr Fisher. Got a lovely handicap mark of, I think, 139, so gets in this perfectly. And Galvin, who ran really well in the Ballymore last year for Gordon Elliott.
Big race.
I think he's been campaigned around getting into this, and I think he runs off 140, so I think he gets in perfectly.
Tremendous, and I'm going to put up Precious Cargo for Nicky Henderson. I think he's got a big one in him. He's slightly been disappointed in the last couple of starts, but I do think he's got a lot of talent, and I do think this mark could underestimate him. Wasn't quite his best in Grade 2 company last time out. This is a slightly easier race, and I know it's still a very competitive race, but it isn't quite as the talent isn't quite as strong. So hopefully he can get his head in front this time. So I'm going to go with him. Steve?
Imperial Aura for me.
And Chad?
I'll go with Imperial Aura with Galvin each way.
Excellent stuff. Finally, get involved in Betway's free-to-play game 4 to Win. The jackpot is increased to £50,000 each day of the Cheltenham Festival this year, and all you have to do is select 4 horses in the 4 given races. And we are going with Vindication in the Ultimate Handicap Chase, Curse Sublime in the Champion Hurdle, carefully selected in the National Hunt Chase, and Imperial Aura in the Novices Handicap Chase. So hopefully we've given you some winners there, and best of luck to all of you. You should all get involved. That's it for the panel on day 1. With any luck, we have all given you some winners to look forward to, and best of luck to you all on the opening day of the Cheltenham Festival.